Okay.
Conference or something? Julie should be coming.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
They're quite often, so.
Oh, I thought her name was Jerry. No, I'm only joking. Okay. Well, okay, welcome everyone. And we're going to get started here. And if we could, I want to do one thing.
Okay.
Where are we? We are recording. These actually are from different parts and different parts of life and the world and all that. So maybe it'll be appropriate as well. This one is actually my son's from overseas. So, so he's even with us here tonight, and more and more people are tuning in. More people are tuning in, getting feedback from a lot of people. I know that the numbers on Ustream do not reflect because we get many more responses after these, but it doesn't matter. We're not after the numbers. What we're really after is what is in it for all of us, that's coming from all of us. We're saying that this is a historical time. And so, I don't know, I have a really, really wonderful feeling about tonight. You get those anticipations, you know, and that maybe it's self-fulfilling. If it's nothing else, it's definitely being created by my subconscious mind because I'm expecting it. I just have a really good feeling about this. And we've been doing these for a while, but this is the night. I don't know what that means.
So you're doubling your weirdness.
I'm doubling my weirdness. If you watched the Ustream a couple weeks ago, that's what it was. That was what that meeting was about. Double your weirdness. So what we're going to do is we're going to mind melt, as they say back in Star Trek, but we're just going to bring our subconscious minds into the oneness that they are and just relax our individualities for just a moment. Sorry? Uncross everything, if you would, and your hands, and just become a complete open and receptive to the living spirit of truth, the universal living spirit of truth. And just close your eyes and feel this as it comes into you. As we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe. And we ask that our minds, our subconscious minds, reunite into the one infinite source, the Alpha and the Omega. And we do this, we're receptive to receive what message that is for us this evening. This evening, or this morning, or the middle of the night, wherever you are tuning in. So take a deep breath and come back with us now. This is the moment that I have been waiting for. I'm going to share some things with you. What we just did is actually, it's a very ancient prayer. A prayer that has been forgotten. Many of you say, well, I never even heard of such a thing. Well, there's a lot of things tonight that I believe that you're going to experience that you've not heard of before. What we're going to be talking about this evening, I was just seeing it. I want to make sure that the camera was positioned right, and then I'm going to forget about the camera. I'm not going to forget about you who's tuning in out there. I'm just forgetting about the camera aspect of you. I'm just thinking about you. You, and you, and you. turning on your inner mental powers. Not your powers in your brain, but your inner mental powers. We know that there are 8 centers in the anatomical brain that relate to spirituality. We know that when these 8 centers, that any of them are aberrated with a tumor or whatever type of damage to that area of the brain, the spirituality in that person, they can be an evangelical minister, but the spirituality in that person diminishes or is completely eliminated. When the tumor is removed, their spirituality comes back. So we are anatomically wired. Now, some people might say, well, the anatomical wiring is actually a result of evolution. I'm not getting into that. It doesn't matter. As we get into evolution or revolution or whatever the case may be, the truth is that there's something inside of us. It has always been there. Hello.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That has always been there, and now it's coming forth. At this historical time in our lives, and when I say our lives, the lives of the people on this planet, it's at this point in time that we are starting to recognize that there's something more. We're recognizing it because we're desiring. No matter what you have been following, many people are saying, you know what I have been following up to this point in my life, as far as my spiritual guidance, as far as my religious desires, they're fine. But there seems like there's something more. And what is that? Why is it that so many people are saying, it seems like there's something more, and I would like to know what that is. It's because when the historical moments are aligned a specific way, when the elements are aligned, I should say, that a historical moment occurs, and that's what is going on right now. The elements are aligned. And it's bringing forth something within us, an activation. Now, this is not the first time that this has been activated. It was activated the first time that they started playing with fire, long ago. And it was activated again when they started to realize that they can domesticate animals and utilize them and harness their power. And it keeps on going on, all the way up to the modern day times of the different pieces of machinery or devices that are brought forth. They're brought forth. They're not invented. Everything already exists. It exists in the infinite mind. And the infinite mind is just that. It means that there is no beginning and end. So when people say, well, I can go with the fact that we are made in as an expression of God, or whatever you want to call it. We don't get into semantics simply because we don't want to start another war. 168 wars going on today. 137 of them are a direct result of what God's name is, what God believes, what God doesn't believe. We're not going to get into that. What we're going to get into, though, is the fact that God is infinite. That's one thing. And even the name God, there's wars on what God's name is. But one thing that everyone agrees is it is an infinite source. It is an infinite source. God only went through a sex change in the last 3,500 years. Before that, God was a female for much longer than he was a male. Akhenaten, the pharaoh Akhenaten, changed him into a male. But before that, it was only revered as a female. So, with this being the case, this infinite, well, what does that mean? What does it matter? What does it really matter? Well, first of all, infinite means it's complete. There is no beginning, there is no end, there is no need. It's complete. It's infinite. It's infinitely complete. And since there is no beginning and no end, it cannot come to me and stop. It cannot come to this wall and stop. It has to be a continuous experience. People who are like myself, who have gone to the other side and experienced that, we can say that, yes, when we're on the other side, we feel that infiniteness. We feel that oneness with everything that ever was, ever will be. Tonight, I want to have you feel some things that are already inside of you. Some of you have played with aspects of this before. And it is your powers that lie within you, in your mind, that lets you have just a glimpse of this infinite ability. One of those powers that I would like to speak of is the creation, the power of creation. Now, some people, when depending on what your beliefs are, this is not to offend anyone at all, anywhere you are in the world or whatever you practice. It's, if you look in your religious texts, it's there. It's in the Vedas, it's in the Torah, it's in the Bible. It's there. It's up to you to find it, but it's there. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is try this experience. Just close your eyes for just a moment and concentrate not on your body, but on the center of your chest. On the center of your chest. Some will call this the heart, but it's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your electrical self, your electrical field. But that is the general area that you start with. If you concentrate on that, and using your imagination, imagine that as you concentrate on this portion of you, that you have a tremendous amount of power, an infinite amount of power that comes from that point within you. Now expand that infinite from the confines of your shell or your body. And as you expand it out, you begin to expand it to the people that are near you. Think of it as a bubble. Even though it's an infinite self, I want you to confine it for just a moment, just so that you can feel this. Think of it as a bubble. Now you're expanding it into the bubbles of the other people. When you are imagining this bubble, you can give it whatever color of light that you would like, but make it a brilliant light. This is actually the bubble of protection. This is the bubble of creation. Now, the reason why I'm having you keep it in a finite state, in a confined state, is just simply so that you can get used to it first. After we get used to having this and walking around with this ability, we can sense it. We begin to get the feeling of having this with you. And the ability to turn this on anytime that you want. You would want to turn it on if you were in a sense that you needed to interact with other people. Turn this on. Not so that you can manipulate them or have power over them, just so you can shine with all of your power in its maximum. You want to turn this on if you come across a challenge in your life, a limitation in your life. You simply turn this on, expand out of yourself, just a few feet even, and then ask for the solution. The solution exists. So at this point, I'm going to ask you to think of a challenge that you are facing in your life right now. Just one challenge for right now. The greatest challenge that you're facing. The one that you said, that is the one. First, ask for the answer to that challenge. What is the solution to that? Don't let yourself off the hook by saying, I don't know. It's not coming through. It is coming through. It always comes through. It's infinite. Allow it to come through. Now, if you had all the confidence in the world, what would be the answer? What would be the answer to this challenge that you're facing? Trust yourself. Trust God. That the answer is coming to you right now. Now remember that answer. Now continue to expand that infinite bubble of yourself and expand it to the surroundings, wherever you are at in the world right now. To your surroundings, if it's in that room, and then continue to expand it into the entire dwelling. Continue to expand. And expand into the town, the city, so that you are now expanded all the way to where you are that big as your city. And continue to expand it to your state, your country. Continue to expand it, and as it expands very rapidly because it's infinite. It can expand as fast as you desire it to. Expanded around this whole complete earth. And now expanded out into the space. Just feel that. Just feel that. What if you are that big? That now you're expanding it into deep space and on. Instantaneously, we expanded to the limits of this universe, to where now you are one with everything. Now look back at that challenge that you asked yourself. What was the solution or the answer that you sought? Ask that question once again. What is the infinite answer for you at this point in time? Now take a deep breath. Stay wherever you're at, but just open your eyes and come back in the conscious state with us here. If we have this ability to find whatever solutions to any problems that we face, the very first thing that you want to do is question yourself. You're programmed to question yourself. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You're nothing. You're nothing compared to the infinite, even though that's not what is taught to you by even your spiritual teachers. It's not at all. But this comes right in. I can't figure this out. Who am I to even think that I can tap into such things? You have to trust yourself. And when you're trusting yourself, what we're really saying is love yourself enough. Isn't that something that we could actually easily love what we would believe to be God, in whatever form that we believe that to be? We can easily love that. But when it comes back into us and we say, can I really love myself? That becomes a challenge. Why is that? It's because we don't understand. And the historical point in time now is to gain an understanding. Not an understanding of ourselves in this form, not an understanding of our existence on this planet. Those are all limited things. But an understanding of our true infinite self. An understanding so that we understand what is meant by what I do is nothing compared to what you can do if you whatever. that is the understanding that we are now not desiring, but we are expecting. When we look to understand ourselves better, we start by trying to look at the dichotomy of things. We look at the dichotomy of life. That's easy to see. Black and white. Day, dark. Right? Life, death. We start looking at that. We go, okay, I think I got that. Then we start looking at the dichotomy of other people. Oh, that's really easy too. We can say, look, she's happy, she's sad. You know, that person's going to mess up. Now they're doing better. And we can pass the judgment through our identification of their dichotomies. And as we continue to columnate down, and that columnation, that is a compression. And that compression, whenever you take energy and you compress it, it becomes more powerful. That's what atomic energy is all about. We compress it, and that's how you split it. But so as we're compressing ourselves, we get down to identifying the dichotomy of ourselves. We're like, I don't want this, but I'm producing it. Over and over again in most cases. We look at the dichotomy that I'm hungry, but I don't want to be overweight. So I will eat until I can't move, but I'm not comfortable with the fact that I'm carrying extra poundage in my interpretation. I don't really look at people that way, but I'm talking about on an individual basis. So we're going in that. I'm lonely, but I don't want to learn to love myself more. And if I don't love myself more, I can't love someone else. Oh, see, it goes all again in these dichotomies. And the dichotomies add to the confusion of the separation. And the separation is what it has actually thwarted our efforts into beings of infinite. And at this point in time, we're saying, no, that's not the case anymore. We're not going with that. And that's where the different prophecies and so forth are coming true. And the Mayans aren't the only ones who are saying December 21st this year, it all ends. There's other cultures and civilizations that have predicted the end around this time. Some have said May, actually, May 21st. There's another date, May 21st, and May 23rd. Hey, if that's the case, you might want to have a good party before that date. But we're seeing that there's a correlation. Well, what is that? May is going to come and it's going to go, and December is going to come and go. It's that the life that we know it, the secluded life of I'm me, you are you, and God is somewhere up above. All those primitive ways of thinking. Actually, when I went on the other side, it wasn't up. I was looking initially down at my body, but it was because my mind chose to look that way. I could have looked on the inside of my body instantly as well. I could have looked at it from any angle. But that was what I chose to understand at the point of death. So now we go at the next point of where is God then? Wherever. God doesn't have, because God is infinite, God doesn't have a need or a desire. Doesn't have a need for you to believe. An infinite source, an infinite mind would not have that need. Will you please believe in me? Because if you don't believe in me, I'll disappear. Even though you're nothing but a little wee human on a little speck of dust in a little wee galaxy called the Milky Way, in this massive universe, and of only one universe of many universes, and we are actually playing with that in science now. We're going through the different wormholes and all that sort of thing, so we're going in different universes. So we're really sure this is not the only universe. Yet we want to bring it all the way back down to how important I am. The only importance that you are is when you start to realize that individual you is not important. The expansive you is all important. Because as you expand, you become one with everything instantaneously. It doesn't happen at death. That only is the stage where you can understand it more. It doesn't happen when you pray harder. If God needed your prayers, she wouldn't have existed. She would have just shriveled up and died long ago. What God needs is your faith. But not the faith of, I believe in you, so look, give me some good extra brownie points on your superconductor computer. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, even if it's God's computer, that's too primal. Look, I'm being a good girl or a good boy, so be good to me. Look, I'm giving money, so I get some brownie points back, right? Right? I'm being nice to people, so when I go to heaven, I'll have some feathers in my wings or whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. That would be limited thinking. Huh. Not sure what happened there, but it sounded like a little Cinco de Mayo or something. Okay.
Everybody's getting happy. What you created.
It's a wormhole from Mexico.
So as we're looking at it, the key then is once we identify the dichotomies in ourselves, the key is to continue blurring those, and how you blur those is to begin to identify what you are and what you aren't. Now, many people are like, okay, this is where I tune out because I already know who I am. I am Michael Duckett, and I am this age and this experience and this education. This is who I am. I'm this social class and all these different things. That's not who you are. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about putting some rules out, though, for yourself. That this is what I am. This is what I am. And how do you know what you are? Is that if you were to expire, die, transcend, whatever you want to call it, at this time in your life, first of all, you can't. Because what we find is that if we weigh a cadaver, or if we weigh a person, and then they do die, they are approximately 1/2 ounce lighter. If we take all the body fluids and everything else in consideration, 1/2 ounce lighter. Well, in our scientific minds, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and so how can that be? And energy, actually, if it's just invisible energy, it does not even have a weight to it. Well, how can that be then? It's because this energy field up here, the mind, the electrical field of the mind, actually has about 1/2 ounce of weight to it. We can't understand it with our primitive thinking, our primitive science, but it has a weight to it. And so as this energy field leaves, and you are looking down at your shell, what do you want that shell to have existed as? Love, peace, prosperity. Did you want it to be a caring person? Did you want it to be a successful person, in whatever that means? Whatever sense of prosperity that you wanted to identify, saying that was the theme of my life, that was then, or the purpose of my life, then that's what you want to do in order to obliterate those lines that are creating the dichotomy, the lines of delineation between one extreme to the other. And as you obliterate the delineation, then you start to become one. You become one with yourself first, and then you become one with everything else next. If there is something that you don't like about yourself, that's going to be your catch point. You're not going to ever be able to realize it, this time at least. This time around. And this time around, I say that because in the last major revision, there were over 72,000 revisions in the Bible, in the St. James version of the Bible. But besides those revisions, I'm talking about the major revisions that the Vatican chose the different books to go into the original version of the Bible. The last one that they took out was reincarnation. And when they took out reincarnation in 563, that they just said it was just too complicated for people to understand, and so they took that out. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into debate of reincarnation because I'm not even sure if I understand it. Having even been to the other side, I'm not sure if I understand it totally. I have an idea because I did discuss it there, but that is another story. But you may not get it this time around. You may not ever get it. That's up to you. But it starts by first accepting yourself, saying, you know what? Yes, I am an infinite connection here. And I don't need to do anything to receive that other than have faith in myself, and in that faith, learn to love myself, every aspect of me, good or bad. Take responsibility for every single thing, good or bad. Now that's just a little bit too extreme. We talked about that in the past, and I don't want to be redundant here, but there are a couple things in life that are worth repeating, and there's a couple things that are in life that are worth hearing again, and that's one of them. Take responsibility. If you can't take responsibility for the things in your life, at least take the role that you contributed to it. There's a gradient to taking responsibility. Taking responsibility in life is the highest spiritual evolution that you could ever get. Because then you become causative. When you become causative, you become creator. When you become creator, you actually are fulfilling your whole life purpose. Not your life purpose, our life purpose. That's the only reason why you're here, is to create. And so whenever you are coming into taking responsibility, that gives you the power to say, look, I made that. I didn't like what I created there, so I'm going to change it into something different. But I'm responsible for it. At that point in time, you'll start to see that you can actually start to manifest and manipulate the three-dimensional world. Because this is not solid. This is all flowing, continuously flowing. It's all a form of life. As I mentioned in the progression, a rock is full of life. It just doesn't have as much intelligence as you, or what we call livingness. And so if a rock is as much alive as you are, then you can actually interact with that rock and manipulate it. The more that you become aware of the oneness. And that's how people are today, overcoming the limitations of science and nature, also known as miracles, or magic, or whatever other semantics that you want to play with. They're all basically the same stuff, just a different way of saying it. And that is just that we are overcoming our understanding, or what we are limiting ourselves to understand. So another feeling that you can develop within yourself and activating your own mental powers is to become aware of where you are projecting your thoughts from. Which part of the head do you feel your thoughts? You're thinking right now. Where are you thinking from? Are you thinking from the side? Do you feel it? Are you thinking from the forehead? From the back of the head? Which part are you thinking from? We all think from, usually from a specific area of the head, of the brain. That just tells you where the actual thoughts are coming into from the mind. And that can actually be manipulated. You can shift. You can intentionally shift where you are thinking. By shifting where you are thinking, you will start to change the way that you think. The way that you think about things and how you are interacting with all of this as well. If you find yourself, for instance, thinking from the side here, intentionally start to just shift and say, you know what, I'm going to project that I'm going to think from my forehead. This is a very good place to think, by the way. It's the last area of the brain that's developed. It's the seat of executive function. It's not developed in human beings until 18 to 21 years old. This is the area of reason. So now if you are around children and you're saying, don't you understand? I'm trying to explain to you. No, they don't really. Even though they're going, yes, 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 they go and do something exactly opposite. It's because they don't have the seat of executive function developed yet. But once it is developed, you can actually use this And by the way, you can actually promote the development of this in children if you'll just have them sit down and concentrate on that and say, now, start thinking from there. Thinking from there. Do you feel that? But as adults, many of us have not learned to identify what that feels like. So one of the ways that you can learn how to use this portion is everyone able to blur their eyes in this room? Intentionally blur your eyes? Okay. Is there anyone that cannot blur your eyes intentionally? Okay, good. What I want to ask you to do is just look out and blur your eyes. And as you blur your eyes, that feeling that is coming into the eyeball, I want you to just intentionally lift it up into the forehead, just a little bit. Keep blurring your eyes and try to lift it up a little bit higher. Now, with your eyes blurred, try to push it up to the hairline. That is projecting from the seat of executive function. When you're projecting from the seat of executive function, a couple things occur. One is that other human beings are attracted to you. Now, some people are like, oh, cool, I'm going to use this Saturday night. I'm going out to the club. I'm going out to the club. But yes, it does increase your charisma because you are projecting out. In the way that you're projecting out into an energy field that other human beings are automatically attracted to because it comes off at a 45-degree angle. When you even look up at a 45-degree angle, if you just look up for even 60 seconds, you will start to put yourself into what we call an alpha state. It's an altered state. So when you're projecting energy at that, human beings automatically have a propensity to want to interact with that type of energy. They don't know that they're doing it, of course, but they're just saying, I don't know, I like her. I don't know what it is. Something about her I like. And so just by experimenting with that on a regular basis, you can train yourself to turn it on anytime that you want. It's good if you need to be in a leadership position, if you need to be in a decisive state about something with other people, and if you really feel that you have something worthwhile to contribute in that group, go ahead and activate the seat of executive function and then express your idea. You'll see that it'll be much better received. Another thing is there's a pineal gland, also known as the pineal gland, and this is located at the center of the brain. It usually lays over. It's usually flat. It's a little flap that's laid over. There are a couple things that will make it stand straight up. One of them, everyone is always listening to this part. But one of the things that will do it is if you get excited about something. Excitement or enthusiasm, meaning it's a Greek word for, enthusiasm is a Greek word for enthus, the spirit within, the God within. If you get excited about something, the pineal gland will stand up. You can manipulate the pineal gland by an Ayurvedic sound. And the Ayurvedic sound, what it does is the vocal cords vibrate and it hits the brain stem that then vibrates up to the pineal gland and it will activate it and make it stand straight up. Your pineal gland is like an antenna and it connects you to the infinite mind. And so it gives you certain intuitive capabilities. So if you wanted to, some people, when they say, I'm a psychic, what they're really meaning is that they are able to go into their subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, since it is part of the infinite subconscious mind, it has no time or space. So they're able to go into the subconscious mind, attach to the infinite subconscious mind, and be able to project out into the future, into the past, or whatever. One of the things that you can utilize this for is that if you have a decision that you want to make in the future, you can use your ability to activate the pineal gland once again to get a solution to a future problem. Any type of intuitive need can be fulfilled by using the pineal gland for that reason. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's the oo sound. The oo sound, and isn't it something that enthusiasm. That is the sound right there, the ooh. That's what activates it. So I'm going to ask everyone here and wherever you're tuning in, I'm going to ask you to try this same thing, and that is the ooh sound from enthusiasm. We're going to say enthusiasm and stretch out the ooh, and you'll see what that feels like. So do this with me if you would. Enthusiasm. You feel it? Let's do it again. Enthusiasm. Did you get that? It makes my nose itchy. So that is a really good exercise. You're driving down the street and you are like, hey, I'm not feeling that good today, you know, I'm a little bit down or whatever, I'm a little bit depressed or, you know, whatever state that lower vibration is, start that exercise going down the road. People will be looking at you like, what song is she singing? You know, but go ahead and try that and you'll see that it will lift you up. Just like in just a couple times of doing that, you feel a little different. Could you imagine doing it about 15, 20 times? It will lift your energy up. You'll be bouncing. You'll be bouncing off the walls of your car or wherever you're doing it at. So there's another power thing that you can utilize at your will. All of these things are there already. When you start to utilize these and exercise them, whichever way you want to look at it, more will grow around you, and as more awareness grows around your powers, then you're like, you know what? I can also do this. I can do this. Now, a lot of these things we have done. If you take the Magi's, also known as the wise men, that came to the christened one and came also to Zoroaster and so forth. That if you look at the wise ones, they did these things throughout time. If you look at the Vedas, they've used these things since the beginning. The Veda is the oldest religious text, a documented religious text in the world. Somewhere between 10 and 15,000 years old, depending. We're not really sure. So if they were documenting using these things way back then, what happened? What happened? Did we forget? No, we were told. We were taught. And we were taught that this is not right. And for whatever, we're not going to get into the politics of it, but I will just tell you that if it does good, it's good, as long as it does no harm. I love that rule. Do no harm. Okay, and that's one of the most ancient religious rules on the planet. Do no harm. Do what you will, but do no harm. And that is by doing that, now you embrace the essence of who you really are, and that is be good for goodness sake. As you're good for goodness sake, and you're doing it only for the goodness of who you are, again, not looking for something above or beyond you to reward you for these things, you understand, when I tithe, the power is actually, I am doing something now I deserve. When I love myself so much that I'm just an overflowing fountain of love. I can never run out, so I can just love and love and love, and then I can only expect more love in return. And it keeps on going that way. That's why my lasting purpose, as I shared this weekend with a group of people, is my lasting purpose in life is to love for the sake of loving, expecting nothing in return. Give for the sake of giving, expecting nothing in return, and serve for the sake of serving, expecting nothing in return. And that lasting purpose is not anything as far as, oh, that's nice. It's nice to me. And when you start to get engaged with yourself, you realize that everything is only for you. Everything that you're doing is only for you. You might think, well, what about... No, it's for you. When someone says, I work so hard so I can provide a good life for my children, and I go, really? Why? Well, so they have a good life. Yeah, but why? Well, because they're my children. So why is that important? Because they're my children. I love them. Good. So then who is it benefiting? It benefits them. And I guess me. Right. You first. It's always you first. It always comes back to you first, no matter what you think. If you go to a religious meeting of any sort, you're not going there so that God recognizes that you're in presence there. You're going there because that makes you feel better. And so as we're looking at what makes us feel better, it's important that we realize that we're nothing but electrical energy. That's all we really are. This shell will decay. It will evaporate. But the electrical energy field, that's what we are, that is perpetual. That is the infinite field. And since we are electrical energy, wouldn't it be a good idea to discover ways of intensifying that electricity, of expanding that electricity, of making it more powerful? If we do that with light bulbs, we go from the first incandescent light bulb into now the halogen and plus bulbs. Wouldn't it make sense that we do that within ourselves? If we're doing it with a piece of glass and wires, we would want to do it with ourselves, and that's exactly where we're at right now. I'm giving you bits and pieces. I would love to just open up, but if I do that, already some of this is already a stretch for some. You're going to have to chew on this for a while. Don't swallow because it will choke you. But chew on it for a while. If you think I don't want to and I'm already fine, good. That's all right as well. I'm not asking you to change. I'm not asking you to grow. That is an inside job. All I do is come and I deliver this for you to think about. The last thing I want to share with you is the shortcut in manifesting, in creating. The shortcut in creating is this. Close your eyes for just a second. Think of one thing that you would love in your life right now. The one thing that you would love in your life right now. Now, just for a moment, imagine that you have that thing. It's a part of your life. And now again, just playing and imagining, so powerful of a thing. Einstein said that's the most important thing of anything in the world. Anything in life is imagination. Imagine that you have this, whatever it is that your desire is, you have had it now for years. 3 years, 5 years, let's say 5 years. This is just a part of your everyday life for 5 years. You are experiencing it right now, again and again and again for the past 5 years. What are you feeling? Those feelings, that is electrical. That's the electrical power. That's the electrical power that brings it forth into the creative state. Now, go ahead and attach some spiritual aspect of it. Call it what you will. Call it a miracle. Call it magic, or call it God. Are you grateful? Are you in love? Are you more in love with yourself? Are you more in love with life because you have that? That's a spiritual thing. Love is a spiritual thing. Really pay attention to what your feelings are and what your spirituality is around that. As you come back, if you will just concentrate on duplicating those feelings with that desire in mind, you can't help but to bring it forth. Take a deep breath and come back. On any of these things, I have to tell you, it's almost like teaching a child. Like I'm a Boy Scout leader, and it's like teaching the Boy Scouts how to build a fire. You want to be careful. because you think, oh, this is cute, and you start playing with it. But as you play with it, if you fall back, once you're exposed, once you're expanded, and if you fall back into a functioning of negativity, a functioning of limitation, you will also create that. But you'll create it in a bigger way. It's better off to not play with this stuff at all than it is to waffle. But if you are willing to play with it, excuse me, then I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and play with it, get really good at it, and share it with other people. Share with them their infinite potential, their infinite connection. Now, I ask you now, whatever it is in your life that you have created this. You have created this. Your thoughts have brought you here. Your thoughts have brought you to your computers or whatever device, your telephones, whatever device you're using anywhere in the world right now. We decided to do this together. This was not a happenstance thing. There wasn't a plan. This was our plan. And if you look back on what you did today, you did that. Yesterday and last year and 10 years ago. You made that happen. Your thoughts. Be careful of what you're thinking, because it is your thoughts. Now, this is not something new. This goes thousands and thousands of years back that everyone keeps on screaming out. Anyone who has ever accomplished anything worthwhile said, yes, I thought this. This is what I just always thought about, and I made it happen. So I'm going to ask you at this point in time, what questions or thoughts, what interjections that would you like to share? Sometimes this group here is actually the questions that other people are having.
I just have a comment. When
Please.
you asked us to focus on the heart center, it was a very, very powerful feeling. Really powerful.
Great.
Yeah. So now that I know what to do,
Yes.
I'm excited about creating.
Wonderful. 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 Yes, people are I think that people are too much in their heads and not enough in their hearts. Yes. And this is one of the challenges of today in societies around the world, is that we are always thinking and thinking and thinking and analyzing and analyzing and analyzing, and analysis, especially over-analysis, is a form, it's a pathological form of insanity. Why don't we just be? Why don't we just be? What does it feel like just to be? And when you're being, that doesn't mean kick back on the couch and start channel surfing. I'm talking about being. And if you want to really be, then feel that. Feel that on a regular and consistent basis until it becomes second nature, just like walking or riding a bike or any of the other things that we just take for granted as we learn to do them well. Let that be. Let using the seat of executive function, and let your morning coffee be where you are activating the pineal gland. Let those things happen and see what happens to your life. See, you think, oh, I have lived a full life. I don't care if you're 15 years old and you're watching this, you think, oh, I have lived a full life. You know, then when you're almost 60, as in my case, then you're looking back and you're laughing. You're 15, you haven't lived. But then someone who's 100 says, hey, you know, you haven't lived. I saw, you know, I treated a patient today who was 101. She could tell me, hey, you haven't lived yet. She's right. She's right. Yes. I'm just starting to live. That's exactly it. That's exactly where I was going. Thank you, Carrie. That's exactly where I was going. And what it is that we are all just starting to live. This is the beginning of the new adventure. But when you are going on a new adventure, step number one, you identify what you want, where you want to go to the best of your abilities, but know that it's going to be dynamic. You can buy a ticket to go to Greece, you know, but when you get there, you have it all laid out. There's things that can happen, and so you're going to have to be aware that life is dynamic. Everything in it is dynamic. It's changing, and the key then, in order to get the most out of your new adventure, be vulnerable. Wow. Vulnerable. Yes, because see, that's what love is really. It's the first step to true love, and true love of yourself is vulnerability. So you have to surrender and say, yeah, well, I might get hurt.
Yeah.
This is what everyone, that most people, not everyone, but this is what a lot of people do. They walk around very guarded. They're guarded in their hearts, they're guarded in their lives. And so they live a guarded life. That's a restricted life. And a restricted life, you'll never really be able to experience the next adventure fully. You have to just be vulnerable and say, you know what, I'm going for it.
Right.
I'm going for it. I might explode, but I'm going to go for it. And the good news is you really don't ever explode. That's just an illusion that you create. You never really do. You make it always through, and the more that you do that, the more unbelievable life that you're creating along the way. So I love it that you're just beginning to live. Same here. And I'm so excited about tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. You see, I do this every night. And it makes it to where people want to know, how is it that you only get an hour and a half to 3 hours sleep a night? I'm going to share with you right now. Remember when you were a child, and it was Christmas if you celebrated Christmas, or if it was Hanukkah if you celebrated that, or whatever the gift time was, if it was your birthday, the night before, remember what that was? The insomnia, the energy. That's what I'm feeling about tomorrow morning. I have an idea. I have some rituals and the habits and the patterns and so forth that we all have and we talked about before. But tomorrow morning, I don't know what it is. I'm waiting for that though, because I know it's going to be something great. So when it is something great in my new adventure for tomorrow, it's not really all that surprising to me. It's other than, so this is what it was. Yes! Yes, so this is the miracle. Thank you. Thank me. Thank me. God is a creator. You were created to create. Here, I share with you. This is a new adventure. I can't wait for tomorrow. Hey, what other thoughts? Yes,
Just
Victor.
something from my own personal experience as an artist. The first thing I was taught over and over throughout my entire career was we only see the contrast. And we go so far as to exploit it, as an artist to be dynamic. I mean, we fiddle with, contrast so much that we try to emote an emotional response from our imagery. And my only thought was, I understand that it's almost like an outdated way of thinking. Seeing things does create separation rather than experiencing or feeling them. And it's just something that once you said that, a lot of things released to me, because I have always visioned myself as an artist by himself, painting his things for someone to see remotely, and I never put them in a real-time line where everyone's painting this with me.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
everyone's sharing the outcome of creation and sharing it.
Awesome. 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 That reminds me of and I really appreciate what you were saying. It did remind me a little cognite on my part of a fun game that you could play sometime, where you're just quiet and you go, what if I wasn't me? So you start with, what if I wasn't a doctor? What if I wasn't all these other things that I am? What if I wasn't Michael? What if I wasn't a man? What if I wasn't a woman? What if I wasn't? And you just keep on, and you're with your eyes closed, you just keep on asking yourself the question, what if I wasn't? Until you just get down to the essence. And when you get down to the essence, a really fun thing occurs, is that you then get to the nothing, and you go, well, what if I wasn't nothing? And then you become aware that if I wasn't nothing, then I'd have to be, that I wouldn't be there, but you are here. So you can't be here and not here. So if you are nothing, you'd have to be everything. And when you're everything, then everything starts to change in this menial adventure and becomes the next bigger adventure, the one with the brighter colors, the heartier laughs, the greater love, the greater feelings. More money, more of everything. Yes. And that's exactly where we're at in our Kyrios, or our historical time. Other thoughts? Feelings? Well, you are wonderful. You are wonderful. And I really want to thank you for blessing me with this much of your life. You know, there's many people who would have given anything to have the opportunity to spend this much time, the past hour, with you. And yet, I am the one who is blessed. So I thank you so much, and hope to see everyone next week.
Nick.
I will see everyone next week.
Nick is there.
Oh, hey Nick,
Nick.
you know I love you.